I became rich and somehow emptier than ever. The day I bought my dream house, my daughter stopped calling me dad. I didn't notice it at first. That's the terrifying thing about losing your soul. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly, quietly, in emails answered during dinner, in birthdays missed because of important meetings, in the way your child slowly stops running toward the door when you come home. And one day, you wake up in a house worth millions and realize nobody inside it loves you anymore. I'm 48 years old. I own 3 companies. I have a black card I barely use, a garage full of cars I don't drive, a penthouse overlooking the city I once dreamed of conquering. And every night, I sit alone in silence, so loud it feels like punishment. But 10 years ago, I was just a tired father trying not to drown. And if I'm telling you this story now, it's because I need somebody to understand what ambition can do to a human being before it's too late. Because the scariest part of success is how easy it is to confuse it with purpose. I grew up poor. Not poetic movie poor. I mean real poor. The kind where the electricity cuts off in the middle of homework. Where your mother pretends she isn't hungry so you can eat the last piece of bread. Where you learn very early that love alone doesn't protect people from suffering. My father worked himself into an early grave. Construction worker. Bad back. Rough hands. Silent man. He died at 52 with less than $400 in his account. I remember standing beside his hospital bed thinking, I will never live like this. That sentence became the engine of my entire life. Maybe even the destruction of it. Back then, I thought money meant freedom. I thought rich people slept peacefully. I thought successful people were respected, loved, safe. I didn't know money could become a prison with leather seats and marble floors. When my daughter Lily was born, I cried holding her. Tiny fingers wrapped around mine like she trusted me with her entire universe. And maybe she did. I remember whispering to her, "You'll never struggle the way I did." At the time, it sounded like a promise. Now it feels like a threat. In the beginning, I was a good father. Or at least, I think I was. I used to come home exhausted from work, and Lily would run into my arms wearing those ridiculous princess pajamas with little stars on them. Daddy's home. God. There are sounds you don't realize are sacred until they disappear forever. My wife Emma used to smile watching us from the kitchen. We were broke back then. Tiny apartment. Leaking sink. One old Toyota that rattled every time it started. But there was laughter in that apartment. Warmth. Peace. The kind of peace you don't recognize until you lose it. Then one night, everything changed. I got offered a promotion. More responsibility. Longer hours. Triple the salary. I still remember Emma asking quietly, "Will you even be home anymore?" And I laughed. I actually laughed. "Babe, I'm doing this for us." That sentence became my favorite lie. The money came fast after that. Then faster. Promotions. Bonuses. Business deals. Flights. Hotels. Investors. Luxury dinners where everyone pretended to be important. I became addicted to achievement. Not money. Achievement. There's a difference. Money eventually stops exciting you. But being admired, being envied, being needed, that becomes poison. Every successful deal felt like a drug hit. For the first time in my life, people listened when I spoke. Doors opened for me. Waiters treated me differently. Friends suddenly respected my opinion. And every time life rewarded my obsession, I gave it more of myself. More hours. More weekends. More energy. Until there was almost nothing left. The first moment that should have scared me happened at Lily's school play. She was 8 years old. A tree. Not even a speaking role. But she practiced for weeks because she knew I was coming. I promised her. Front row. I told her over breakfast. She smiled so big it physically hurt to look at. That afternoon, I got pulled into an emergency meeting with investors from Chicago. I remember staring at my phone while Emma called me 3 times. Then Lily called once. I silenced it. Just for an hour, I told myself. Just one meeting. By the time I got to the school, the parking lot was empty. I walked into the auditorium and found Lily still sitting in her costume. Little fake leaves hanging from her sleeves. Everyone else had gone home. She looked up when she saw me. Not angry. That would have been easier. She just looked disappointed. "Did you see me?" I lied. "Of course I did." She smiled and said something that still destroys me to this day. "I kept looking for you." I don't know why that sentence never left me. Maybe because deep down, I know she spent the next 10 years doing exactly that. Looking for me. Success changes you in ways nobody warns you about. You stop living life. You start managing it. Every conversation becomes transactional. Every minute becomes measurable. Every relationship becomes secondary to momentum. Even your family starts feeling like interruptions. That's the ugly truth nobody posts online. I began seeing my daughter as something I would spend time with when things slowed down. But things never slow down. That's another lie ambitious people tell themselves. There'll be time later. Later is where relationships go to die. Emma noticed before I did. One night she sat across from me at dinner while I answered emails. "You haven't looked at me once," she said. "I'm listening." "No, you're waiting for me to stop talking." I remember getting irritated. I actually thought she was being unfair. Can you imagine that? A man slowly abandoning his family and feeling like the victim. Burnout makes monsters out of ordinary people. Quiet monsters. Functional monsters. The kind that still pay bills and smile in photographs while emotionally starving everyone around them. The loneliness started around year 7. That's when success stopped feeling exciting. I had the penthouse by then. Custom suits. Private memberships. First-class flights. But hotel rooms began feeling like coffins. Especially at night. I'd sit alone overlooking city skylines with room service growing cold beside me. Thousands of people below me. Not one person I could call and say, "I don't think I'm okay." That's the thing about becoming the successful one. People stop asking if you're happy. They assume. Meanwhile, your soul quietly rots beneath expensive watches and business awards. One night in Singapore, I looked at my reflection in a hotel mirror and genuinely didn't recognize myself. I looked exhausted, dead behind the eyes. I remember whispering, "What happened to you?" And the terrifying part? I didn't know the answer. Lily was 15 when she stopped hugging me. I noticed it immediately. You always notice the last time your child reaches for you. I came home from another business trip with gifts. Designer shoes. New phone. Jewelry. She barely looked up from the couch. "You didn't have to buy me stuff." I tried joking. "What? I can't spoil my favorite girl." And she looked at me with this heartbreaking calmness. "You don't know me anymore." God, I'd rather she screamed. But disappointment? Disappointment is colder than anger. Emma filed for divorce 6 months later. No dramatic fight. No screaming. Just exhaustion. She sat at the kitchen table and said, "I feel alone even when you're here." I signed the papers like a man reviewing contracts. Emotionally detached. I told myself I understood. But I didn't. Not yet. Because ambition blinds you. It convinces you sacrifice is noble, even when the people bleeding are your family. The breaking point came on a Tuesday morning. Strange how life changes forever on ordinary days. I was preparing for the biggest acquisition of my career. Multi-million-dollar deal. Press coverage. Everything I thought I wanted. My assistant walked into my office looking nervous. "Your daughter called 3 times. I sighed. "Tell her I'm busy." She said it's important. I still remember the irritation rising in me. I picked up the phone. "What is it, Lily?" Silence. Then soft crying. "Dad, I was in the hospital." Something inside me stopped breathing. "What?" "I called you yesterday." My chest tightened. My phone." "You always have your phone." That sentence cut deeper than anything anyone has ever said to me. Because it was true. For work, I was always available. For my daughter, I was unreachable. She had collapsed from exhaustion and anxiety at school. Emma had been trying to contact me for hours. But I was inside a boardroom discussing profit margins while my daughter was asking for me. And I wasn't there. Again. That night, I walked into my penthouse and realized something horrifying. I had built a beautiful life nobody wanted to share with me. The marble floors echoed. The city lights looked artificial. Even the expensive silence felt empty. I opened Lily's old bedroom. Still untouched. Dust floating through moonlight. There was a drawing taped inside her closet from when she was little. Stick figures holding hands. Me. Emma. Her. Above us, she'd written. My family. I sat on the floor and cried harder than I did when my father died. Because grief hits differently when you realize you caused it yourself. And for the first time in 10 years, I allowed myself to ask the question I'd been outrunning my entire life. What was all this for? What's the point of becoming successful if nobody can recognize the person you became? What's the point of buying freedom if you sacrificed every meaningful thing to get it? What's the point of winning the world if you lose your child in the process? I wish I could tell you transformation happens instantly after moments like that. It doesn't. Real change is uglier, slower. It begins with shame, then grief, then honesty. I started therapy at 47 years old. First session, the therapist asked me, "When was the last time you felt truly alive?" And I couldn't answer. Think about how terrifying that is. A man who spent his whole life chasing success, unable to remember the last moment he actually felt alive. Not accomplished. Alive. There's a difference. I began revisiting memories like crime scenes. Lily learning to ride a bike while I answered work calls. Emma crying quietly in bathrooms so I wouldn't see. Birthdays I attended physically but not emotionally. I was there, but I wasn't present. And absence has many forms. Some fathers leave home. Others leave slowly while standing right in front of you. That realization nearly destroyed me. A few months ago, I asked Lily to have dinner with me. She almost said no. We sat across from each other in a small diner because she said expensive restaurants made her uncomfortable now. That sentence alone broke me. I spent years believing luxury meant love. Meanwhile, my daughter just wanted conversation. For a while, we barely spoke. Then she asked quietly, "Why was work always more important than me?" I opened my mouth and realized there was no good answer. So I told her the truth. Because truth was all I had left. I thought if I made enough money, I could protect us from pain. She stared at her coffee, then whispered, "You became the pain." I deserved that. Every syllable. But then something unexpected happened. She reached across the table and held my hand. Not fully, not completely, but enough to make me realize redemption begins in tiny moments. Not grand speeches. Tiny moments. We're still rebuilding now. Slowly. Awkwardly. Some wounds don't disappear. They become scars you learn to carry honestly. I can't erase the years I missed. I can't recover bedtime stories, school plays, conversations, versions of my daughter I never got to know. That grief will live inside me forever. But I show up now. That matters. I answer her calls. I listen when she speaks. I sit with silence instead of escaping into work. And sometimes, on good days, she calls me dad again. You have no idea how much that word can heal a broken man. If you're listening to this while destroying yourself to make it, please hear me carefully. Success is not evil. Money matters. Providing matters. Ambition matters. But there's a difference between building a life and abandoning your soul to finance it. Nobody lying on their deathbed wishes they spent more time answering emails. Nobody looks back and says, "I wish I ignored my children more." The world will applaud your exhaustion while your family quietly mourns your absence. And by the time you realize what truly matters, sometimes the people you love have already learned how to live without you. So call your daughter. Take your wife to dinner. Look your son in the eyes when he speaks. Be present in your own life. Because one day, the meetings end. The money stops impressing you. The applause fades. And all that remains is who you loved and whether they felt loved back. Before you leave this video, I want you to do something for me. Not tomorrow. Not when things calm down. Not after one more deal, one more shift, one more paycheck. Tonight, call the person you've been too busy to truly see. Your daughter, your son, your father, your mother, your husband, your wife. And when they speak to you, listen, really listen. Because life has a terrifying way of making us believe there will always be more time. Until suddenly, there isn't. If this story touched something inside you, leave a comment below and tell me. What's one thing success should never cost a person? And if you're out there chasing money while slowly losing yourself in the process, I hope this video reminds you that being loved is worth more than being admired. Subscribe if you want more stories that make you feel, reflect, and see life differently. And remember, the richest people are not the ones who own the most. They're the ones who still have someone waiting for them when they come home.